Well, hello, Jack.
Let's have fun.
Let's have some fun.
Did you start already?
I think I did.
Yeah. In your brain, when you said, well, hello, Jack, was that a starting?
Yes, I had decided. I was like, I'm in.
We're in. Hello.
We're in, man.
Welcome to our podcast. It's called Chris and Jack's Podcast Pilots the Podcast.
Nailed it!
Is that the first time we've
nailed it?
That's
the first time you've properly nailed it. I can't tell if you're reading off of like a screen or anything like that, or if there was any...
No, I read it out of your eyes, man. I felt your excitement for me to nail it, and I nailed it.
For those that are watching on the video version of the podcast, you can see that I did indeed write our title on my eyeballs, my literal eyeballs.
Those little like stabby ink prison tattoo eyeball says Chris and Jack's Podcast Pilots the Podcast. Is that
episode
a known
4.
thing about episode 4? Is that a known thing about podcasts or about prisons? Or was it just one episode of Dateline that I happened to watch at some point at my parents' house?
Total sidebar. I learned just the other day that tattoos in the mouth, you got to re-up a bunch like regularly because your mouth is so good at healing that they won't last.
Oh, wow. Those are cool. The like peel down your front lip tattoo.
Yeah. Or
That's
these
cool
ones
move.
when you peel down your eyelids and then reveal again.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So for those that are watching the video version, I've written it also on my eyelids. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's easier to read actually there.
Yeah. That's how I remember it. I write them on my own eyelids.
So you can close your eyes.
I can close my eyes and just really, oh yes, Podcast Pilots the Podcast. There it is. Hi everybody.
If you're tuning in for the first time to Podcast Pilots the Podcast, I don't know how you got here. Let's explain the premise. We're gonna do 2 podcasts. Maybe
we're gonna do 2
good.
podcasts, and what we're setting out to do essentially is like identify what kind of podcast we want to make, and what one that may have lasting value. Ultimately, which one would we do a second episode of? We generally have 3 questions that we ask at the end that I can't remember off the bat, but it's generally...
was gonna be spending the whole podcast trying to remember what those were since the last time we did it, so I'm glad.
I think it was like, was it a good podcast? Would we, is it repeatable? And then does it bring something to the world?
Yes. Was it, I think the first one is, did we have fun?
Was it fun?
Was it fun?
Yes.
Was it repeatable, and does it add value to the world? That's what we're trying to determine today. I'm going to start us off because you went first last time.
And we do 30 minutes, always, by the way. We do 30 minutes each. We set a timer, and then we're going to do 2 pilots per podcast.
We don't pre-talk them. We just surprise each other. And as always, we don't research if this is already a podcast, and we don't really end up telling these to anybody. We just do them, and then you hear it. So if it's already a podcast, whatever.
They probably did it better.
Okay.
We're doing an ad for them. Okay?
Yeah. Go every time you hear one of our podcasts, Google what the good version is, and then check that one out.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris. So
I'll say
start
just
us
real
off.
quick, I'm very excited because this is the exciting moment. This moment we're just right now in, this like pregnant pause. I don't know what the podcast is going to be, but you're about to tell me what the next 30 minutes of my life is going to be generally steered towards. It's a lot of power you got, Jack.
I do, and I will continue to have some power throughout this next 30 minutes. Chris, I'm starting the timer. It's going to be a classic Chris and Jack. It's one that we had talked about as like, this is a fun thing we do. Is it a podcast? We had often discussed this, so we're going to try it and see if it's a podcast or if it's just a fun, dumb game that we should confine to streams. Chris, you know it.
I
can never tell if you love it, but I love it. And I know some people also love it.
Oh,
it's
God.
finally time for the Alphabet Game, the podcast.
Oh, wonderful.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling such a mixture. I feel happy that we're in familiar territory. I'm feeling
burden off your shoulders in that way.
Well, but I'm also feeling very, very burdened because on the receiving end, as you've experienced once, Jack.
Only once.
It's one of those things where it's so enjoyable to the one that knows the secret.
Yeah.
When you're over there knowing the secret. And then I'm the person that's over here that's just fishing and trying. And then also, every time we do this, I'm left feeling kind of bad for some reason.
No, you're going to do great.
Well, I'm just saying, generally, there's some kind of thing that pops up in this game that makes me feel bad about myself. And then usually...
why don't I know? Yeah,
it's usually like, how did I not think about that? How did I not remember that 3 letters ago I said the same word? How in the one that was themed before, we did this once and the theme was like Chris and Jack, and then it came to Jay and I said July 6th Park instead of Jack, and then it became a whole emotional thing that you lorded over me the rest of the game. So
Yeah, but
that
was a bit. You're safe, and you know, we have 30 minutes for this, so there's a chance we can finish this whole game in 25, and then the last 5 minutes can just be affirmations about how great you did.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, if you aren't familiar with Chris and Jack's The Alphabet Game that we invented for. We did it for the first time in that Christmas thing we did, and now we played it on live streams a couple times. Here's all it is. I sat down and I wrote down under a theme. I wrote down the first word, sometimes the second word that pops into my head for each letter of the alphabet, and Chris has to guess it. It's not what's the best word. It's not what's the perfect thing. That would be in some ways easier to guess because it would somehow feel more objective. It's just whatever shit popped into my head. I wrote it down. I like to add some stakes to this.
This is the fun part. This is where it gets a little more exciting. Usually,
so Chris, I'll be giving you. I will be staking $1 per word. If Chris can get a word, it is $1. And if Chris can get every single word, I will be buying Chris a Casper mattress. Check out Casper mattresses at CasperMattress.com. They're not a sponsor. We didn't reach out. If you're interested in a mattress, you get a Casper mattress and they send you a mattress in a box, and then you can sleep in the mattress, and if you don't like it, you send it back. Or you could sleep in the box, and then if you didn't like that, send that back, and then they send you, I guess, a different one. Casper mattresses, if you're interested in Casper mattresses.
This is great, dude. That was a freaking, like, that's a pilot for the commercial branding
I'm piloting
opportunities
what it
in
would
this.
be like. Yeah. So if you'd like your own Casper mattress, use promo code Chris and Jack's podcast pilot the podcast.
/ Chris and Jack.
Look at you dumbly.
Also,
they'll be like, what's this?
But you know how you won't be looked at dumbly is when you're cruising down the street in your own Ford Fiesta. That's right, Ford Fiesta, sponsor of the Chris and Jack podcast pilots, the podcast. Go to FordFiesta.com / Chris and Jack. FordFiesta.com / Chris and Jack for 93% off of your purchase of a Ford Fiesta.
Ford Fiesta, brought to you by Audible. Audible, the only book that is sponsoring a truck. Go to audible.com / Chris and Jack for a 404 server not found blank page.
Dude, we are so good at this.
We're ready. We're ready. Just slot those ads right in there, and then those will be the stakes. So, but sincerely, I'll buy you a bed.
Dude, I don't need one, but I would like one.
I kind of need a new bed. I think we're ready.
My brother just got a Casper last week.
Wow.
What
this
is
a fucking good ad for Casper.
Oh, man, yeah. We just sold a lot of Casper mattresses, and we're not going to see a dime.
I also want to share with you the other names I came up with in case this needed a better name. Would you like to hear those now, or would you like those as a stalling tactic when you're stuck on a letter?
I would love that latter option. Yes.
Okay. There's 4 of them. The name I'm currently going with is The Alphabet Game, the podcast. You know, pretty straightforward. But there's 4 others that if you ever need to stall, just ask me to rename the podcast and I'll rename the podcast.
Do you remember what we called it for the Christmas special?
No.
I want to say it was the Noun Game.
The Noun Game. The Noun Game.
Because then it was another level because then it had to be nouns, and I was struggling to know what a noun was in the moment, too.
Oh, yeah. There was no theme. It was just pick a noun for every yeah, it was brutally hard.
Yeah, it was
this one I think, you know, it's a digestible theme that I think you'd have a chance at getting some. I don't think I'm going to necessarily end up buying you a Casper mattress, but I would predict I'll give you, you know, at least a Emperor's Clouds and Mist green tea from Starbucks.
Yes.
And maybe you could get a cheese stick to go with it.
See, what people don't realize is just the depths of our friendship. Jack, he called out my favorite order from Starbucks. It's an unusual one.
Gets.
I'm not a coffee guy. I'm a tea guy, but I'm a specific tea guy. Emperor's Clouds and Mist by Tivana. Go to emperorscloudsandmist.com / Chris and Jack. No, I go Grande Emperor's Cloud green tea, 2 tea bags.
2 bags.
That's it. And then I let it oversteep till it's like a room temperature like soup. And then that's
Soupy green tea.
That's the singular fuel for all of our sketches, essentially, for editing and stuff.
And I've scooped it up on my way over many times. It's been great. Chris is in the cave editing. I'm coming over to take a look at some footage, give some notes. I'm gonna give him some fuel when I can. Or we're on the way to set. One of us is making a run. Oh, let me grab it for you. Let me grab it for you.
Which has been a while now. You get a super slick Casper mattress every time
I go to Starbucks. All right, so the theme is summer.
Oh, fun!
It's
Although
summer.
We dated this podcast, so if you're listening to this in December, just pretend.
Yeah, but I did the math, okay? and if we're releasing it, if we're releasing it this week, that's definitely the summer, and if we release it 2 weeks after that, that's also still.
Dude, we're firmly in this.
We're evergreen for summer.
Yeah.
It's summer. Summer's the theme, and I'll give you a sort of general area that I think you would have gravitated towards anyways. But I think I sort of thought of summer as like, summer, like when it meant something, like right now in adulthood, sometimes summer is just like more weeks. There's also weeks over here.
Are you okay? Are you talking about like? Are we talking like summer break times?
There's some summer break kind of vibes. I don't want to overload it, but like summer, summer.
But that could pop in. We're thinking like postcard kind of summers. We're thinking like iconography around what Hallmark would have made summer about.
There's definitely a good amount of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hallmark.com/Chris and Jack for 25% off your next postcards. They don't do postcards. Hallmark, they do postcards. They just do cards.
They probably just do cards. No, I'm sure they've diversified. They've been around for 175 years.
It makes so many movies.
Sorry, this is a separate podcast, but I can tell the origin story of Hallmark and how they started in 1825. I don't actually know any of this.
Save it.
The letter is A. The theme is summer. Chris, welcome to it's not the noun game. You don't have to do nouns. Welcome to the alphabet game, the podcast. We're 10 minutes in. We had so many sponsors this week. And we're ready to start.
It's our
letter
curse.
A, Chris. Give it to me.
Okay, here we go. And
sometimes when we do this on a live stream, chat helps out. You got no help. You're flying blind.
Help.
It's a lot of pressure.
I'm floating in space, if you will. There's a video component to this podcast.
Yeah,
occasionally,
check out
but
the
don't
video
feel no FOMO.
At audible.com/Hallmark.
You picked my A.
Ford Fiesta.
You already picked my A. Okay, A.
Yeah.
A.
And don't exclusively think child stuff. This one might not be.
All right, fair. So we'll immediately undercut the idea that was in place. Perfect.
Yes, it is. It kind of is.
Okay, we're talking A. We're talking summers.
Yep.
We're talking. Also, you have to be aware that like now what's different about what this is going to be is that usually I get a moment to just like kind of think in silence.
Yeah.
And then now there's going to be some real empty moments in this.
Don't worry. First of all, I got you. Second of all, we're piloting this. Some of our pilots are allowed to have a slightly slower, more relaxed pace.
Right.
This could also be a sequel to our sleep podcast. Maybe we take our time. We go nice and slow. And truly, like, I'll feel the pressure to fill. You don't have to feel that pressure. You have the pressure to come up with words. I have the pressure to never shut up. And whenever necessary, I can either give an alternate name for the podcast or plug one of our many sponsors, brought to you by Sierra Mist, makers of Fanta. Okay, Chris, that was all I got.
This is also the most high pressure. This is also, I realize every single one of these is super high pressure because if I get this one wrong, I'm already out.
You're out of the Casper mattress, yeah.
Do we have is there a little clause that's like if I get 5 in a row, we double the money or something like that? Anything
we have
like that?
Had that before.
We'll make that more interesting at the end if there's no Casper on the horizon.
Yeah, if you're killing it.
A.
If you get 5 in a row, I'll give you a big thumbs up.
Summer.
For the video component, you know?
I'm thinking,
Yep.
God. Yep. I already have 2, and I know they're wrong. All right?
No, let it flow.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm thinking out loud. I was going alligator, because I was like, summer outside.
Summer
alligators. I don't know, we're in the water, alligators.
For sure.
But then I was like, no, I got to get that out of the
summer.
way.
I mean, that's good summer.
Then I was thinking after party for like spring break. We're doing the after parties, but this is summer break.
All of summer vacation is an after party of
for
spring
school.
break.
Yeah. That's not it. And then I'm
Love
thinking
that idea. Might be it.
Oh,
Might be
then I'm
alligator.
thinking,
Might be alligator golf. I might have written alligator golf.
are we going 2 words? Is there any ones that's 2 words?
Oh, you know how I do this. Some of them
this
are
is
a full
always
sentence.
it's a full sentence or something. Yeah, it's some paragraph, or then it's some misspelling of a word so that you can later call out the bit about how it was misspelled.
Yeah.
You've done that to me before.
I have. The letter A brought to you by Gator Golf. Gator Golf.
We're gonna go.
I have a vague recollection of the game Gator Golf. I was confusing it with Mr. Bucket. Gator Golf. Letter A, Chris.
The letter A is alcohol.
Ooh, I like it. I respect it. It was air conditioning.
I'm out of Casper already.
You're not getting the Casper. I'm sorry about that.
All right.
But
All right. But
continue
I feel
on
like
to
the
the
scar
letter
tissue
B.
has been broken up now. I'm feeling
we're
good.
grooving now.
And for everybody at home, that's listening along and that you got air conditioning, I'm sorry I let you down. For all of you that guessed alcohol, hey, we're in this together.
If you have some good way of verifying that you get all of them correct, if you live listen and timestamp it and don't lie to us, then you could buy your very own Casper mattress. B, Chris.
B is barbecue.
Yeah. C.
C.
You
C
freaking
is
nailed it. Yeah.
C is See, I wanted to go with chill, but in the term of hanging with friends, not chill because it's
chilling.
hot. Yeah, we're just chilling, but
chilling.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't
chill
think,
would be cold. Chill
that'd
would not
winter.
be appropriate.
That'd be winter times.
But chillin' it has a summer vibe to it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with chillin'.
Yeah, dude, you're friggin' crushing. It was chillin' with no G. It was chillin'.
Oh, this is good, guys. This is grade A content. Do you understand?
This is a podcast.
This is a podcast.
Nailed barbecue. Nailed chillin'. What do you got for D, Chris?
D is
And we're in a zone where I've so far only given good ones. One thing, if you've never heard this gameplay before, is that sometimes it's not like I tried real hard and was an expert on all these. Sometimes I'm going to put out a bad clue and Chris is going to have to deal with that, and the shame is mine and mine alone.
Thank you for keeping me safe in this. I appreciate that on this round.
You're welcome.
I got 2 D ones, both of which are wrong, so I'll share both of the wrong ones that I'm not going to go with. The first one was diving, as in
fun.
you're on the rock jumps. You're going to a lake and you're diving with some friends.
I love that.
The other one was driver's ed, because I want to say I did driver's ed over a summer around my 15th and a half birthday.
I'm a December baby. I think I probably also had driver's ed over the summer. That's interesting. I wonder if that was in my head at all.
No, I will not go with it. No, I will not. I opened up by saying no, it's not going to be those 2. It's going to be this one, which is dog, hot.
No. But hot is kind of related. It's a dry heat. California summers, it's a dry heat.
Very topical for the time, too. Getting hotter and hotter out here in California.
Wow, it's a dry heat.
Death Valley was at 130 the other day.
That's too much.
Too much. A very dry heat.
Yeah. E. And again, they're not all winners. I felt so good about barbecue and chillin'. I felt you talking yourself out of chillin', which would have been fun for me. But then when you actually landed on it, that was even more fun because I root for you.
Thank you. And I'm about to just be on a really downward trajectory from here. I have a feeling.
No. You'll get at least 3 more.
This is E.
E.
I'm going with eye-catching.
Oh.
As in hey, wow, we're all strutting in our bathing suits out there on the beach. A little eye-catching,
Wow. I think both of ours were bad. I went with end of school.
Yeah. Is that the one that you had in mind when you're just so you know, kind of sometimes about old school summer?
I was looking ahead a couple and I was we're going to get dry heat's fine, but end of school kind of sucks.
But eye-catching, that's iconic summer, man. I can't believe we missed out on that opportunity.
Iconic.
Yes. Iconic.
F.
Eyewear. Every time we say a thing now, I'm wanting to do an ad. Sorry, an Iad. Terrible.
Someone's gonna. It would be weird if someone chose to sponsor our paywalled Patreon exclusive podcast. But hey, if you're out there,
Yeah.
let us know.
Well, we're obviously very, very good at organically weaving them into our narratives here.
And speaking of organic weaves, new Pampers Plus.
Huh?
Yeah.
Friends, man.
Yeah,
You're
I'll
staying
give it
with
to
your
you.
friends.
I'll
What was
give it to you, man.
Friendship?
It was friendship.
Yeah.
Summer friendship, baby.
Summer friendship, man.
$3, Chris. You're killing it.
Oh, I might be able to buy my own Casper by the end of this.
We're very close already to an Emperor's Clouds and Mist.
Oh my gosh. With a discount code, I could definitely buy a Casper at the end of this.
Yeah. I was going to have if you got half of them trigger, and I think I should implement that because I feel
might
like
get
it's
exciting.
live.
That might get exciting.
I accidentally recently reauthorized Lisa's subscription to Audible and
Great.
have been overcharging her Audible account. And I'm willing to buy you one book on Audible. And if it's billed to Lisa, my wife, well, whatever.
Whatever, man. That's just the way that that's the way these discount codes work.
Yeah. I was thinking about listening to Wolf Hall.
Know nothing about that.
It's a historical fiction by Hilary Mandel. I don't know. It's about Thomas Cromwell. I don't know. Don't worry about it.
This is good. No, this is good for me to know because again, I'm guessing
you?
words. I'm guessing words that you are thinking, right? So
Yeah.
I have to know
When
what
you
your
get to
environment's
W-
like right now.
Yes. When you get to W, keep in mind Wolf Hall audiobook
Yes,
could be in there.
Could
That's
be
what
in
I
there.
might be experiencing
that might
this
be
summer.
because you're
By the
having your
time-
summer right now.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
we're
having
on-
my summer. By the time you're out there listening to it, I might be currently listening to Wolf Hall. We're on G.
G. All right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Good Times.
Oh, I like Good Times. I went with something that I don't really do. And maybe
Okay.
people don't. I was like, is that a summer thing? And I wrote it down. And then later I was like, I don't know if that actually is a summer thing. Maybe it's too hot in the summer to golf.
Golf.
Is it too hot?
Golf hits summer in a big way. I think, yeah, it's hot.
Okay.
But also you're
Okay.
gonna want to be generally golfing in summer or
It's
spring,
outside
you know.
stuff.
Yeah, it's outside.
Um,
That's good. Good Times though was a little too close to friendship. Maybe I feel like your mind when you
I
had
do
friendship
try to-
would
I do
probably
try
have
to-
veered.
I try to ping pong a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a P yet.
Keep that
That's
in
good
mind.
to know. That's good to know.
Keep that in mind for P.
Yep.
We're 7 through, and you've got $3. So right now, you would not be eligible for one free credit from Lisa for Audible.com.
Okay. H. Talking summer. I'm thinking.
Also, we might run
volleyball.
over our half hour with this one.
Yes, I know. I feel like there's going to be a lightning round on the last 13. H. We're going to go with hammock.
Ooh, it was heat. A dry one.
God. Ice. Gotta have ice.
Very similar spirit of this. Of sometimes you gotta get away from the heat. You went with ice. I went with inside. I think ice is better. I think ice is a much better answer.
Inside?
Sometimes in the summer you just want to be inside. If you're an indoor kid and it's too much.
Also in winter, you definitely want to be inside.
Yeah. But also in winter, you might be chilling too, you know? Do you think nobody chills in the winter?
Oh my god.
Nobody hangs out? Has a nice time, Chris? No one has friendships in the winter, Chris? These all have to be summer exclusive, Chris? You don't have good times?
No, you do have good
Past
points.
September 21st? Good times are over?
Both of our
Jay.
minds are broken. J. Okay. J. Jet ski.
Ooh, I like jet ski. I went with June. It's one of the months.
Oh.
It's one of the
I
months
can't
of
argue
summer.
with that. Jet ski just felt like
Jet
it's
ski's
part of the
fun.
iconography. It just felt
Jet
right.
ski's fun.
Okay.
K. Speaking of K, you said okay, and then
I know,
it's
that
K.
was kind of like a nice little segue, wasn't it?
I
Wow.
really liked it.
So just go back and
Segways,
loop
one of our
that a few
favorite
times if you'd
sponsors.
like.
It's a scooter that you don't fall over.
Except if you're the owner. I want to say there was a story about the guy who created the Segway and then went off a cliff and died or something.
Oh, God.
On a Segway.
Is that how the Atkins guy had a heart attack? Is we're all
Just putting our own fate.
Segway.com/Chris and Jack for a 1-month subscription of Atkins bars. K.
I was gonna say canoe, but that's misspelled. That's misspelled, so I could get another.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with
interesting though. Interesting. Though.
Because maybe this is gonna be like I
don't know. It's at least a little interesting.
Is it a kayak?
No, it's a word that should be spelled with a C, but it's spelled with a K. It's Kool-Aid. So it was interesting.
I mean, there is something, I guess, noteworthy there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I see how it made you think kayak for sure.
Wow.
That was a bad misdirect on my part. L.
Summer lovin'.
Oh, that's
it's love.
good.
It's love.
It's light beers, but summer lovin's fun. $3 so far. I think we're halfway through. M.
All right. My first thought was like, this would be a thing you did, but I'm not counting this. I'll just say it in my mind. My first thought was months. You know,
because it has
months in summer,
June and July.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, August.
I'm not going to go with that. I'm not going to honor that.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm going to go with and then my next thought was milk for some reason. Terrible. That was just my thought of like Anchorman being milk was a bad choice. It's too hot. I don't know.
Yeah, milk, not a summer drink, not a refreshing summer beverage.
Not a very...
Right off of Kool-Aid, light beers, milk. That's the run I went on.
Yeah. All right, M. Let's go with let's just go with
I went with Midsummer, and I was going to accept any sort of spelling of it. If you meant Midsummer Night Dream, if you meant the horror movie Midsommar, or if it was just the
or
middle
if it was
of the
spelled
summer.
like Midsummer, but spelled like M.
So I guess not any spelling.
Got it. Okay.
N.
I'm just gonna say this because it's an interesting. I'm just gonna. I don't know why I want to like preload this one. I know it's wrong. Okay.
It might not be.
I'm going with Nautilus.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, I went with Nautilus because I was like, oh, it's a submarine. Like we're adventuring in the summer. It's also a shell you might find at the beach.
No, that's cool.
It just felt like, there's something summery about a Nautilus.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that instinct. I went with noodles in a pool, like a pool noodle.
Pool noodle.
Oh,
what a summer.
Oh, what a thing I've made you do again for a podcast.
I mean, are we going ocean? Are we going ocean here?
I like that.
When you say I like that, it means it's immediately wrong. It always means like...
I think I said I like that for chilling. I think I was very encouraging for chilling. It was Olympics, the Summer Olympics, my favorite type of Olympics.
That's every 4 summers.
But
well, I guess it is a summer. Fine.
It's this summer for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that every summer I drink Kool-Aid and play golf, so it's still pretty high frequency for me if I want them every 4 summers.
Can we at least agree that all these terms are done or seen at least once every 4 years? There's nothing that goes over 4 years? Okay.
No. I withdraw that. I read ahead. Not every 4 years.
All right. There's a meteor one.
Chris, yeah, meteor. Yeah. Perseid shower.
Yeah.
P, Chris.
P.
Do you think there's any chance that I just said that it's Perseid shower to throw you off? And I'm going to be like, ha, 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 I caught you, dickhead. I got you. You never thought I would just say it, but then it was it. It's Perseid shower, which occurs every March 15th. I don't know when it actually occurs. Maybe it's the summer.
You did very quickly volunteer that name. I would have never thought to have had that
Perseid
just so quickly, readily.
Shower. Yeah.
And you're not like a meteor guy, so that tells me like,
maybe
interesting. You might have like researched that for some reason. Yeah. I'm going to go with pool noodle.
Oh, I like that. That's better. I had porch. Don't you just love a porch? I wish I had a porch. I don't have a porch. A porch would be great. Just sitting out on a porch in the summertime, sipping a tea.
The worst part about this game is that even when you feel like even the times when you're like, that's it. And then even though pool noodle wasn't it, but then there's these times where
I would absolutely have done. I did that with dry heat and then heat that's dry. And then I did noodles and then 2 later it's pea. I should have done pool noodles. But
then it veers hard all of a sudden. And then it's just like, there's no reward system to this game. There's no way of knowing ever.
It's meaningless to get close.
Yeah.
You don't get $1 for horseshoes and hand grenades.
No. Well, right. That's the phrase. I feel like the equivalent of this game is when you have those rings and you're throwing them at those bottles at like a fair, you know,
yes.
And then
100%.
but in this one, you're kind of like, it always feels like, I'm kind of getting close. And then, but this one, it feels like you make the ring on the bottle and then someone's like, oh, cool. Yeah. That one doesn't count because actually you're not supposed to throw rings. You're supposed to throw those things. And then they point to, you whip over and then you realize like, oh, I was supposed to throw hot dogs at it the whole time. And I was throwing rings. God, I was supposed to throw a hot dog in the thing. Right.
I don't know if I'm necessarily like changing the whole game on you just by saying porch, which is a very summer.
Yeah, porch is the Diet Cola of summer words, I feel like. It's generic enough that I'm like, all right, fine.
Porch. Q. And by the way, we got like 2 minutes left in this podcast.
Q, great.
It can run over.
Q is
you're gonna get a
Quicksilver
in the like in a thermometer.
No, like Surf brand.
Oh, that's so much better. Oh, I don't even want to say mine. This is one. Sometimes I'll just write my first instinct, and I'll go like, I gotta go back and fix that. That's not a real answer.
And you didn't fix this one.
Well, then I went back and I tried to fix it, and my fix wasn't that great either. My fix was quenching a thirst. You know, you want to do in the summertime.
And
also, it's in my head. Quarry, like you're going down to the quarry. You throw a rock in there. That's a summertime activity.
Summertime.
We used to, when I was a kid, you go down to the quarry, you throw a rock in there.
Yeah, you better go down to the quarry instead of buying stuff from Quicksilver. Quicksilver.com /
Quicksilver.com / Billabong.
R. This is like R&R. This is rest and relaxation. Relaxing.
I like that. Relaxing's good. I went with red wagons or radio flyer wagons. Big summer association for me. My family would always take a red wagon down to the bay from my grandparents'
you were kind of relaxing.
House. Yeah, it's like that. It's not like give you $1 like that, but it's like that.
How much money do I have again? $8? $20? $3?
And you got those $3 on B, C, and F. And now we're on S, and you've been kind of a little bit of a dry spell.
S, though?
Yep.
In this dry, heat, or this dry heat / comma, S is summer.
So that's super fair. That would be totally reasonable. I even wrote down 2 because I was like, there's so many good ones for
Snorkeling?
S. Sprinkler and slip and slide. I wrote those both down. I was going to give you
You wouldn't take them either?
Yeah.
And I didn't do either of them.
No, you did summer, which was pretty obvious. I'm not going to fault you for that.
Well,
timer's going off. It's been a half an hour.
Oh, the time flies. I can get
sprint to the finish.
We can sprint to the finish here. Okay.
You're gonna get T.
T is trunks. Swim trunks.
No, did you? Okay, I went with Tivoli Gardens.
Something you do in the summer in Denmark.
Something you do in the summer in Denmark.
Fair.
You.
Umbrella. You got to stay out of the sun.
This is good. You're crushing it. It was underwater. But you're doing great. None of these you're not like stalling. You're not like panicking. You're giving hot, great answers.
Yeah. They're just the wrong ones.
I'm asking you to throw hot dogs in a bottle. So.
V-neck. It's hot.
Vacation.
W. Water sports.
Oh, water park.
Water park? You do water sports in a water park? Give me 50 cents for that.
I'll give you 50 cents. Right now you've got about 350.
Awesome. W.
X.
X. Do you do the EX thing, or do you do X for like a fun way of spelling it, where you're like extreme sports? You know,
like the X Games?
Like the X Games, maybe. Yeah. The X Games.
I went with X2, a pretty good summer blockbuster. Why?
Yeah. Why is if
you get this one, I'll give you $5.
Oh. Why is youth? Summers are wasted on the youth. Isn't that what they say? Isn't that what they say?
I'm going to let you continue. This is a 2-word answer.
Youth. Okay. And maybe I got the first one right. Youth. Like, and then a sport. Like a youth like basketball, or like youth. It's like a sport. Youth volleyball?
More general?
Youth. Youth sports?
Youth sports, $5. Bring it home.
Way.
Bring it home with Z.
Zinc. You got to put it on your nose.
This is a better answer. I just said the zoo. $8.50 Chris earned. Bringing it home, crushing it with that phenomenal youth sports answers.
Wow.
I said that thinking it was very hard, and then once you said youth, I was like, oh, we're knocking on this door. Phenomenal. I'm gonna Venmo you $8.50. Anyone out there who was playing along, go buy yourself a Casper mattress. This has been Alphabet Game the podcast, or Word War 26. Like, that was the name I was working on, where it's like, it's a word war, like sort of like the card game war, where it's like I show yours, we show them at the same time. But 26 because there's 26, or alphabets. Yeah. Or this one didn't work. I wrote this down. I was like, oh, that's good, and then I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Letter 1, go. To be said like, letter 1, go. But I don't understand what that means. And then also this podcast could be called A, B, C, if you can guess the word I'm thinking of.
Love
there we
all
go.
of those. I think all of them are under the same umbrella. I honestly, ABC, if you can guess the word, great.
Maybe that's the name of this podcast, which has ended. Great work, Chris.
Thank you. What a journey. I thought that was very well bookended, even though we went over time a little bit, but there was a lot of excitement up front, at the end, and in the middle, I sweated a lot.
I hope it wasn't so.
I had a blast.
I think you did great.
I thought summer was a wide enough net.
Yeah.
And I felt primed. I think that was fun. And I don't want to do spoilers for the answers for our questions at the end, but you know,
I think that was fun.
That was fun.
We know that's repeatable.
That's repeatable.
So tune in later to find out if we think that adds value to the world.
Well, let's see if this podcast adds value to the world, Jack. This is less game. You know, I feel like we're going to get more. Well, maybe there's a little game to this per chance. Not quite in the way of Word War 26.
I don't know.
Pretty good. But as you know about me, Jack, I'm a fan of, well, you know, I'm a fan of one thing, and I'm only going to say this. I'm a fan of two things so that it helps me with my segue into our podcast. Okay. You know that I'm a fan / very interested in cryptids.
I do know this.
Okay. What you may not know, and is not true, but is only just used for the segue, is that I'm also a big fan of Build-A-Bear. So what we're going to do in this podcast... What we're going to do in this podcast is we're going to build a cryptid. Okay? That's just to help my name, but I want us.
Oh, got it. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? We're going to So what we're going to do here in this one, in a podcast I like to call Build-A-Cryptid, is we're going to kind of enter into the world of cryptozoology. We're going to kind of talk about cryptids a little bit, and I want us to invent the next big cryptid.
I love it.
This was slightly inspired by our Discord. In the suggestions area, one of our friends, Naomi, said she'd love a good cryptid podcast.
It's clear that it was also slightly inspired by a trip to downtown Disney, where Chris got to visit the Build-A-Bear workshop, his favorite place on Earth.
Wondrous place where they're mixing up the stuffings, and then you get to pick like what kind of hat is it wear.
Put a little hat on them.
Put a little hat on it. And also, you mentioned Tivoli earlier. Outside of Tivoli, there's a Build-A-Bear. It follows me everywhere. It's my second favorite thing. All right.
You've worked with Chris for years. Describe him. Well, he's the type of guy who loves cryptids and Build-A-Bear. You know, that old saw. Okay.
And you'll always find him with an Emperor's Clouds and Mist in his hand. All right. Well, listen, cryptids, for those that don't know, I have just a brief wiki definition. Cryptids are animals presumed by followers of the cryptozoology pseudoscientific subculture to exist on the basis of anecdotal or other evidence considered insufficient by mainstream science. While biologists regularly identify new species following established scientific methodology, cryptozoologists focus on entities mentioned in folklore, record, and rumor. Entities that may be considered cryptids by cryptozoologists include Bigfoot, Yeti, the Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil, the Loch Ness Monster, to name a few.
And so, Chris, I feel you're obliged to slip in local Tahoe legend.
Well, funny you should mention, I had the Tahoe Tessie one pulled up with the definition here. You know what's up. I got a couple cryptid favorites of my own. I love cryptids. I think it's because I grew up in Tahoe. I grew up in the woods. I was always fascinated by like what could be out there. My kid brain just looking into the woods at night and being like, oh yeah, what's gonna steal my trash, you know, or what's gonna kill me at night, you know, like that kind of fun. Those kind of fun things. But Tahoe, where I grew up, we do have a cryptid. It's very much in the same zeitgeist as, I'd say, in the same family. Maybe even genus, phylum. I think those get bigger. I don't know the way it went, but they're close relatives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. Same. We know that they're the same-ish.
Same pyramid of science terms that we're never going to learn. Don't be mad at us.
Tahoe Tessie is basically like another Loch Ness monster, but that lives in Tahoe, large lake up in the high Sierras. A lot of people think Lake Tahoe is Salt Lake City or the Salt Lake. It's not. It's out in California. Salt Lake City's in Utah. Just, you know, to give yourself, there's no Tahoe Tessie out in Salt Lake. Okay. There might be something crazy, but
Salt Lake Sandy.
That's great. You might have just invented it. I think the podcast is over.
Okay.
There it is. Let's go to Build-A-Bear. But Tahoe Tessie, it's like a plesiosaur type dinosaur type water dino, cryptid, but there are speculations that Tahoe Tessie has been misidentified as actually like family of large lake dwelling fish called sturgeons. So some people think that what looks like two humps on a back are actually like two large sturgeon fish in line, you know, and it makes it look like that's Tahoe Tessie.
Will you refresh for me the story of wasn't there a whole thing with the like Cousteau family and Tahoe Tessie?
There is a rumor that back in the 60s, Jacques Cousteau himself took a sub to the bottom of the ocean, or not to the bottom of the lake, and then went down for like 6 hours, and then famously came back up, and then was at like a press conference, and then said, everyone's like, "What'd you see down there? What'd you see down there?" And then he said, "The world is not ready to know what is at the bottom of Lake Tahoe." And then I looked into it, and I found out that was a total myth, completely made up. And that the closest he ever got,
press conference story though. I
wonderful. Love it. Honestly, the closest he ever got was that his grandson visited I think once for like a summer or something like that. So, but speaking of summer fun,
we don't know what he found.
We don't know what he found down there. But my guess is that if anybody were to go down there and be spooked by anything, I think there's a lot of bodies. I think there's a lot of like cement shoes kind of situations, people coming from Reno and kind of getting rid of some people.
As Godfather 2 documented, there was a lot of mafia ties out there.
Yeah. Which the house from Godfather 2, right on the coast, near where my house is. Not my house, but close to it. Pretty cool. How about that? I feel like in this podcast, the intention is for me
to bring up Godfather as often as possible.
That might be part of our cryptid. Ready. Because I feel like in inventing a cryptid, there are a few things that are required. Okay, it's got to be in some ways a creature that's regional. Usually, they're always like a town's got its thing. Or like a state's got its cryptid.
I like that.
It's got like attributes that are very unique to sometimes that locale's kind of vibe. Like whatever their geography is. In some ways, you're like, oh, that's really what it's a Yeti because it's in the snow. Right?
Yeah. Of course.
And then I think it's got to have like a clever name, Salt Lake Sandy, great.
Love that.
Great.
We'll get
first out. And then you can get kind of creative. Then you can kind of piecemeal. You want to make them like they're just a little bit scary, but they could also be cute. They could also be misunderstood, I think is another thing that like they
want
may
to
be
give
dangerous.
This a lovable secret backstory that you'll discover at the end of the movie.
Yeah. You want to be able to give a bag of tropes that can be kind of unpacked over time. I think one of my just to give a couple other examples of some cryptids as we're rolling them around, things that are more close to my life. Kraken. Love me a Kraken. Kraken was... Why
is a Kraken more close to your life?
Because obviously, I had that crazy Kraken sighting. No, a Kraken, and you might not know this about Kraken or Krakens. I don't know what the plural is. Or if there is a plural.
I think we looked up. I think the plural is Kraken.
Right, which gives the presumption that there are multiple Krakens. There's not a singular release, the Kraken. There are Kraken, plural.
Yeah.
But it's actually it's a like a Scandinavian folklore thing is where it originates. So got some Scandinavian background myself.
It's also a great potential. We've talked about it as a potential fan nickname for Chris and Jack fans.
CHRACK.
I mean, pretty good. Pretty good. And then we
Krakens.
We unleash you for like some sort of internet flame war when you're ready.
So when you're ready, that's how this goes down.
Yeah.
I love the Kraken. And the last one I'll bring up before we start getting creative, Jack, is you also know this about me. I love the Mothman.
And the Mothman's fun to think of as a cryptid because he feels like he's like a crazy interdimensional being, but he's also got all the classic. He's of a local region. He's this like West Virginia folktale of this being that exists in that specific part of the world. And there's sightings and it tracks all the normal cryptid thing, but with a crazy like additional and he's an interdimensional being who can like predict the future. You've roped me into your love of Mothman.
Oh, and
I love it now.
You would think from like just hearing what Mothman is, a lot of these are just like, oh yeah, Bigfoot, kind of like it's like a large bipedal.
It's probably a bear.
Hominid. It's probably a bear that people have seen, but it's like an animal that's kind of walking around. Maybe it's kind of scary sounding, but then like when you think about Mothman, you're like, there's too many hats on hats, but they all work. It's like it's like a big winged creature that also predicts stuff or shows up like before a big disaster, during a big disaster. It's like interdimensional. There's a lot of touchstones for a Mothman, which is very, very intriguing. I think whoever I want to say encountered a Mothman did a great job of really documenting all of it. Not that he was invented.
And do you because Mothmen can talk. They're like struggling to communicate. They only have like a couple of. Sometimes they're stuck where they only have like a couple of things they can say to you or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think that your love of Mothman is because bizarre, mysterious creatures who have a few built-in phrases taps into your love of Build-A-Bear?
It wasn't until you said it in this moment, Jack. But everything always comes back to that for me. And I just wish I could escape it. But I'm at the point in my life where I'm willing to lean hard into it and be like, really, emotionally and physically, I am, in all senses of the word, a Build-A-Bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as we build a cryptid,
do you think we start with the locale?
I feel like locale is a great start. I wonder, I mean, and if we need to see if they already have a cryptid, we can do a little goog, but I think I have at least some sense of what places have cryptids, so we can toss out locations and then see if they have one.
Okay, locations of significance to us.
Yeah.
I don't know, like an LA cryptid. We could get even sub-regional within LA.
Right.
But you don't get a lot of city cryptids, but that's an interesting
that is an interesting thing. The only other like kind of city cryptid that there really has like most notoriety, Jersey Devil.
Jersey
Jersey Devil.
Is that New Jersey or is
New
that
Jersey,
like Jersey, England? Oh, okay.
No, yeah.
Would you count like there are some like New York City, there's the myth of like a rat king that is just like sort of a nest of rats that can like sort of mobilize itself. There's also like the idea of like sewer rats crawling up through your sewer, or even like a sewer crocodile. Are those like cryptids? Like they have a real actual animal explanation, but they're sort of like myths unto themselves. I don't think there's such a, maybe there are actual rat kings and that's a thing that people have found, and I don't know. But that seems to me like borderline cryptid territory.
The way you describe those to me feel, if they're legendary and haven't been like photographed, but like have plausibility, I think we're leaning hard cryptid. Rat King, as I understand it too, is like, just like, I feel like that's a real thing where like it's just where a bunch of rats' tails get like all tangled up and they turn into a big ball or something. Yeah, it's just a
swarm of rats. Yeah, in my head they then like rise and speak and put on a crown.
They turn into like a mech rat that then has like a rat shape, but it's large, made up of a bunch of smaller rats.
Yeah.
That's a Rat King.
That's a Rat King. That's a cryptid. We maybe just invented it.
Yeah,
but
I feel like a giant sewer crocodile, that could be that's cryptid territory.
But it would need to be like. It would need to have one more thing, right? It can't just be like, oh, there could be a crocodile who lives. It'd have to be like
there has to be like a special nuance. There would have to be like the crocodile in the sewer would have to be like larger than any documented crocodile.
Yeah,
like it'd have to be extreme in some way,
and it would have to be called like the Hudson River Crawler or something, which sounds just like a serial killer. Also, I realize is it some superhero has a villain that's just King Croc, and it is actually just
is that Donkey Kong?
City? Oh, there's also a wait, hold on. Wait.
Is there something in Donkey Kong that has like a big croc?
100%. There's like one of the main villains in Donkey Kong is a like king crocodile. But then King Croc is hold on, now I'm like so thrown. I think King Croc is a Batman villain. Killer Croc, I'm looking this up now. Killer Croc, sometimes King Croc, is a Batman villain and is like a sewer-dwelling giant crocodile. And King K. Rool is the Donkey Kong villain, who is also is a croc. So I think this is a subgenre of cryptids that we're uncovering here.
Yeah,
is crocodile kings.
But if we're going regional for ours, I like it getting specific to us, Jack. I like in our pilot of this podcast, because obviously it'd be super repeatable and we can make a cryptid every time. This one, as a pilot, it makes sense to build one around what our lives I think are potentially connected to.
Yeah. Each episode of this Build-A-Cryptid, we bring on a guest and build the cryptid for their hometown or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's fun.
Yeah, and then we trim out the part where you say or something like that, because that's the catch. That's the catchphrase. Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Great.
And so in that way, you grew up on the East Coast, but then made your way to the West Coast. Now you've lived more years in the West Coast than the East Coast. So
I have. I lived in Randolph, Massachusetts until I was 11. Then I moved to Irvine, California, which is Orange County. and lived there until 17 for college. And then LA since then.
We also both went to UCLA.
Yeah.
There might be some sort of like, I know that there was fabled tunnels below UCLA's campus.
Yeah. There could be a whole thing where like, there was a bear and the bear lived like they brought a bear for like a sporting event and it escaped and it bred with a friggin' something.
I mean, if we're literally building a bear.
Oh, this too close, sense. Chris.
This is too close.
You're gonna be so in love, ecstatic with this. I like that
as an option.
I like a UCLA thing.
Yeah.
I like. Here's a brainstorm. The LA River.
Oh yeah.
There are areas where like it's a real river, and then there are areas where it's like a little sort of like just concrete like gutter throughway.
Yep.
And like if there were like an LA River dwelling cryptid who somehow like can like be big in the deeper water areas.
Ooh, yeah.
And then like pass unseen for some reason through the concrete areas in like Frogtown and stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
There's something cool about that.
I really like that. I think also that ties into some fun facts about the LA River. It's considered, even though if you go there and you look at it, a lot of places you're like, that doesn't look like a river. It looks like just like a spillway, like a open gutter.
Yeah.
But apparently to be, and I haven't gotten this perfect, but I believe that to be considered a river, you need to be able to navigate the full stretch of it in some sort of boat-like device.
Yeah.
And I think people
to water. It has to be navigable to like you have to on there get to a bigger body of water, get to ocean or get to a feeder river or something. It has to be navigable to water.
And so as someone can pop in their summer hot kayak and then go on down the river, but you better beware because there might be a cryptid out there.
Whoa. But yeah, somebody had to prove that. And so they got in like a little kayak and then they had to just like scrape along in the parts where there's no actual like deep water. And they did this. And it was like this very epic journey to like prove that it was a river so that more of it could be protected. Very cool thing.
There you go. And
but
in
be
some
careful
ways,
out there.
That also is interesting because in cryptid world, sometimes a cryptid is invented from what I've gathered. Sometimes and I don't want to like say that they're real or not real, okay? But if there are situations where a cryptid is not real, so they say, sometimes cryptids are a form of protection for an area. It's kind of like invent some lore around that area, which then scares passer-throughs that kind of prevent them from going into territory that they may not because you want to protect your prized land or you want to make sure that people aren't coming through there. So if we had an LA River cryptid, that would kind of keep people freaked out and not be down there polluting our river.
I like this. And then he's so scary that you're not allowed to go there. But then he loved that people were trying to prove that it was navigable to water. And I want to be very clear. I remember that one phrase from the article I read about this years ago, and I want to say it as many times as possible. Navigable to water. So our cryptid was like understood emotionally or intellectually that like those people should be allowed to pass.
Yes.
Because they were trying to prove that it was navigable to water. And so he and I don't want to gender this, our cryptid helps them in some way.
Yes, because that's important to a cryptid is to make sure that they're also kind of misunderstood creatures, but maybe can still have a lot of backstory for when you do their spin-off movie about them.
Yeah. If you're a passerby, if you're polluting, if you're here to dig up the river, this thing's going to get you. But if you're trying to prove that something's navigable to water, you got a friend
you're
indeed.
A friend indeed. Also, this tells me that this cryptid is intelligent to a degree. It's not just like some sort of like evolved snake that just has got bigger than other snakes. This is like a creature that can like sense your intent in in approaching the river, can kind of like gather from in some ways like what's going on. I wonder now if we're getting in.
I like that phrasing, sensing your intent, that it's sort of like it's an emotionally intelligent cryptid that like reads your like
Aura?
spirit.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna show my cards right now. I'm picturing an eel. Like some sort of evolved eel that maybe like, okay, Chris, go with me here.
Yeah,
and
I already have a name. I have a bad name already.
Hell yeah. Is it ELA?
Yes, it was exactly that. It was ELA. Yeah, it was exactly ELA. Yes.
Bad pitch, and it doesn't have to be first one out wins, okay? But
No, exactly.
It's an electric eel.
Yes.
That like somehow, because the LA River is so in and among cities and stuff, it managed to like feed off of the city's electrical grid that allows it to like grow when it wants to, and then also like it somehow hides in Wi-Fi. I don't know. Does that work?
I can imagine if this is an electric eel. Also, electricity, very dangerous in the water, travels through water,
Right.
very good for current. Both plays on that word.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
this is very current. Yeah.
3 plays on that word. Oh my God. That it maybe it and it lives closer to electrical grids, but can kind of like venture out. But I also wonder if I wonder if we could trace the calendar to know when there's been like rolling blackouts, when there's been brownouts, when there's been things in LA that are like the power grid went down for a little bit. It had something to do with some ne'er-do-well going down to the well, and then it had to like either
ELA.
use all this energy. ELA had to use all this energy to like quickly zap itself to shoot down the water further, because that's how I'm thinking it disguises itself in Wi-Fi, by the way.
Okay.
Is that it gets all this electrical energy.
And I don't feel too married to the Wi-Fi thing, because I said it sounded maybe a little crazy.
But that's the thing about cryptids. People are coming up with all these explanations. We know that it's not actually Wi-Fi, but some people are like, maybe it's through the Wi-Fi. And then we're like, no.
No. It's just a big eel.
It can get past the narrow sections of the river, because yes, it is generally very, very flat and wide through the river. But the way it gets through those shorter areas, how it is able to be navigable by water, is that it teleports from a quick like lightning bolt. So there's a lightning bolt where then in that electric form, it's able to shoot past those like narrow little bottlenecks.
And so rolling blackouts are like the city experiencing its passage when it's like hyped up, when it's fighting something or whatever, when it's like really like on one, and it's like darting through the city so fast, like the brownout that rolls with it, like it takes it through the city. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
It's rolling with it, man. You can actually, if you go space view, you can see its movement based off of like how the blackouts, brownouts happen.
All the rolling blackouts and brownouts in LA follow a very clear eel pattern.
Yes.
And also, like, you know how sometimes cryptids are used to explain like natural phenomena or to protect a land, and there's like an eco-conservatism thing?
Yeah.
This is one where we're letting a horrible electrical companies off the hook, because we're saying like, no, it's just our friend Eli.
This podcast sponsored by LADWP. The ELA, I feel like the last missing piece of this, I think, is what is it like when it attacks someone?
Yeah.
And what happens to that person? And also, have there been sightings? Can we like recontextualize some things that may have been seen, and maybe that was actually ELA all along?
Well, so rolling brownouts are sort of like metaphysical sighting, but what is our like in-person? So you ever seen one of those? That could be.
I'll say I've gone on years ago. My buddy Brian, you know Brian, and I were training for a triathlon, and we used to do bike rides all along the LA River. It was like a long stretch, and then when we would go past it at certain points, I would sometimes out of the corner of my eye, I'd see a little I'd see a little splash. I'd see a little something. And I'd be like, what was that? And then Brian would be like, I can't see. We're on mile 50. I'm passing out now.
Shut up.
Shut up. I don't care. Where is the next Cliff Bar block that you're using for the energy that we eat?
That could have been Elay.
Elay.
That could have been Elay. And if he does travel through Wi-Fi, then some other sightings might be happening right now in your screen, Chris.
What? Subscribe now at the $20 level for our video podcast.
It was a lot more involved of a visual gag than my arm, I promise.
Yes. I think also that the coloring of Elay is like a darker brown, almost brownish green, slimy, so that it looks and can blend in very easily with the like mossy slime that's at the bottom of the LA River. When you look at it like in the stretches, you can see that like what is gray cement on the sides as it's rolling down, then like the actual
center.
Yeah, the center is like the shape and color.
Like most eels, you know, there's like a whole side to side movement to propel their body. But Elay, because of his electrical charge, Elay can be in a very narrow straight line and just sort of like along, you know, you picturing it?
Or is Elay always, well, that's the thing, is that it's moving forward, but everyone's like, is Elay always on his side? And you're like, no, just evolved so that it's a flat eel-like creature, but at 90 degrees.
Oh, wow.
You know, like it is, he's actually moving forward when he flops.
Yeah.
But that most people are like, well, that's just like a sideways giant eel. And you're like, no, that's Elay.
I think he needs like a subtitle that hypes him up. Because Elay right now is sounding very like cute, you know?
Which is what you kind of
like
need. Tahoe Tessie, kind of cute.
Tahoe Tessie's cute. Nessie is cute.
Yeah.
Chupacabra, not cute. Mothman, not cute. I think like Elay,
something. Right.
The like electrified demon of the LA River, you know, like something.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Elay, the I'm going with some Wi-Fi, the monster of Wi-Fi, the amphibian of Wi-Fi.
That's something.
There's something there.
Wi-Fibian?
Well, let me tell you why. Elay,
Drain Dweller. Drain Dweller is the word I tried to say there.
Drain Dweller's good.
Elay, Drain Dweller.
Elay.
Please. I keep saying Eli.
Well,
oh,
that's
no.
What we,
is that a problem for us?
It's a new word. It's a new word.
Elay. And when he gets into your Wi-Fi, does he kind of snoop around a little?
Oh, he for sure knows your search history. That's how he knows your intent.
Yeah.
That's how he's able to tell.
He read a lot of emails planning the trip to prove that the LA River was navigable to water.
He read your emails.
Fantastic.
There we go.
And so he did his little sideways bumpy bump to propel that kayak through the most difficult stretches. And, you know, the footprints in the sand, it was Elay carrying you all along.
Because what we'll do in the follow-up episode of Build-A-Cryptid is that we will get the person who navigated by water the LA River as our guest, and then we'll ask him or her about, hey, what was it like in that very narrow stretch, and how did you actually get the boost you needed to get down there?
Really skeptical. Okay, I'm sorry. And then you just, had a boat? Okay.
Sure. Okay. And what were your real intentions on this journey here?
Were they pure?
Because what we really need to see is, please, can you give us a detailed printout of your search results history? I like this cryptid. I think we've got 40 seconds left in this podcast. Jack, wrapping it up, bringing it home. We just invented the cryptid Elay. It will be on Wikipedia soon. It is the Elay : what was it? Something of the
I mean, we have a lot of great nicknames for him, which I think is important. I think it needs to seem like, oh yeah, people have been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
We should think about like first sightings. What was he doing in LA in 1930 and whatever?
Yeah.
How did he kind of pioneer Hollywood?
You're right.
But so
but
far
I feel like also just as an origin story, the briefest of one, I feel like Yle came from the ocean. Even though eels aren't generally, well, no, there's moray eels.
There are sea eels. There are sea eels.
It was, I think, a sea eel made its way up the mouth of the LA River, but then in coming up that way, initially, got a little toxified by all the electricity in the city and the waste and all that stuff. And the further it went up the river, the stranger its properties became. And then it found another, and then what it did was it mated with a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
And then that's what birthed Yle, and it has incredibly long life, an incredibly long body.
Yeah. And this Wi-Fi thing that's new, obviously, right?
Yeah. No,
it's evolving. Yle gets stronger every year.
It evolves exponentially, just like the tech boom. So that was Build-A-Cryptid.
I think so far, and I don't want to jump ahead to the questions, but so far I think this is one of our best ones for sponsor integration.
Oh.
Because your love of Build-A-Bear shines through in every core of that.
Yeah. Sure. It's one of the two things that define me. So, I mean, what a great integration, I think. And then every episode we open it with like the two things that define us, and it always changes, and it's just like whatever the two sponsors are.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nothing defines me like cryptids and ExxonMobil. So today we'll be pumping our tanks full of cryptids here on...
And on the second of the pilots that we're doing in this podcast, nothing defines me like electric vehicles, because down with gas.
Yeah,
so
let's make them compete.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Fun. Let's make our sponsors fight it out.
Exactly. That was fun, Jack. We got a couple podcasts, couple pilots.
Let's judge
behind
them.
us. Let's judge these. Let's go to the first one first, right? We did the alphabet game, word war, 1, 2, 3, or ABC.
If you can guess the word. If you can guess the word I'm thinking of. Or I don't know how you felt about letter one go.
That felt to me like you're in like Mission Control Center. I liked that part of it. That was like, we got to move quick.
Letter one?
Yeah, letter one is go for line flag go. Letter one, go.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's fun. I just feel like my pacing wasn't really what would be like being in a Mission Control.
No, I mean, it was a 75-minute podcast, but I think that was one of the appeals of it.
Sure. Was it fun?
Was it fun? Yeah, man.
Yes.
That's a classic.
It was fun.
We always have fun doing that. I torture you a little bit. If we did it more than once, we would switch. You'd get to torture me sometimes too.
And we make some money while we're at it, you know?
We
always break even. We just
you made $850.
Yeah.
We keep paying each other back and forth. Youth sports really pulled it out.
That was big. And I'm glad it's documented because people wouldn't believe that.
Wait, hold on. And then you just said youth sports? Well, no, I said youth, and then he really baited it out of me.
Yeah, kind of elicited it, but man, you had to be there. And you could be for 5 easy payments of somehow now the paywall has there's somehow sort of a Casper tie-in. Was it repeatable? Yes. You pick a new subject every time.
We've done it enough now where it's a thing that feels like it should be losing steam, and it has to be for a lot of people who have seen us do it. But for us, it feels fun each time.
Yeah, there's a given impossible task to it, and then when sometimes, even a blind squirrel finds a nut, sometimes it's beautiful.
It's a good time.
Does it add value to the world?
Hard no on that one.
Yeah, I think it's a big no.
So little. Like, we don't even try to. Like, kind of the spirit of it is we're not even trying to learn new information. We're just kind of regurgitating literally the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. And for listeners that would tune in regularly, I guess the value would be like, oh, this is an example of how to waste a life. I won't do that.
Yeah. It could be a good learning experience. I mean, maybe you would have fun playing along with it. Maybe like, you more so than some of our other podcasts, maybe you'd feel like, oh, you're part of it too, because you can try to think of the word while Chris is thinking of the word. So maybe there's that. The one other way to potentially bring value to the world is that you made 850, but I would say it's net neutral because I lost 850 during this
negative
podcast.
there. Right.
So yeah, I'd say fun, yes. Repeatable, yes. Valuable, no. One of our least possible values.
Yeah. Overall, would we say good podcast?
I would say pretty good podcast. It's a good time.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's a hang. It's a like. Yeah, keep it on if you want to. I don't know why, but whatever.
It's a fun hang. It would definitely. I think it would catch a lot of people. I don't want to say a lot of people, but I think some amount of people would get to like episode 13 and go like, I've listened to a lot of these, and I don't think I can explain why I'm listening to them. But I do think I do think some people would listen to a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. I was wondering if that's maybe even like your 70% sleep thing, but there's too much guessing involved. I don't think you could fall asleep.
Yeah, tough to say.
Yeah, because I was trying to fish for a way it would be like able to be given back to the world.
That's a good call. It might be actually a decent sleep one because it is just enough engagement.
Yeah.
We're maybe too excited at times.
Yes, true. When I'm clapping and screaming from having gotten youth sports. I don't know if that's really what you want at the end of your sleep podcast.
Yeah, that'll wake you up.
Build-A-Cryptid, Jack, was it fun?
I thought it was straight up fun. I had a great
time. I thought there was a real openness to it. It felt fun. Is it repeatable?
So I think like more than you like. This is I think a guest podcast where it would be repeatable because you would bring on a guest and the gimmick would be like, we'd have to make sure we don't get people who are always from the same place or whatever. But if you make the thing like, does your town have a cryptid?
Barack Obama.
So yes, share that.
Yeah.
What?
I said Barack Obama. Does your town have a
Yeah,
exactly.
Have a cryptid?
Yeah.
And if not, I thought you were pitching which town's cryptid is Barack Obama, and we got so confused. And if not, we're gonna come up with it right now. I think that's straight up repeatable. I think we could do that a lot of times with people, and it's a fun way. We were talking about a town that we both know and love, but I think if we were interviewing somebody about their hometown that we don't know, it's sort of a fun way to get to know a town, right?
Yeah.
Of like, what's its local flora and fauna? What's its deal? What little town myths are there that we could play with? And I think that's sort of
what's a weird thing that you experienced that you might not be able to explain, and maybe we can find the way that might button that up for you.
Yeah, so I think that's straight up repeatable.
Does it add value to the world?
I mean, if we ever created a real cryptid that like people started talking about and we could spread a little myth and always had the benevolent like, and here's how it's protecting this land or something.
That's the truth.
If we ever hit that once, then yes, it would add value.
Yes, we saved.
I don't think that would ever happen.
No. But the maybe the like aspirational nature of chasing that
is enough value.
So okay, very interesting. So do we think that was a good podcast?
I think that one's a contender. I think that one. Get Barack Obama on here.
Yeah.
And we got podcast gold.
Episode 2.
Nobody wants to friggin' listen to Barack Obama play the alphabet game.
No.
But
actually, maybe he just needs to be our guest. He needs to be our guest for all of the podcasts we've done so far, and then just see which one hits. I do think that
would help us get Casper Mattress sponsorships.
Yes.
For sure.
Was there a winner of the 2 podcasts, Jack?
I would give it to Build-A-Cryptid, if only because it felt more novel to me. We've played the alphabet game before.
Fair.
It could be a podcast. It's fun. This one is stretching my brain and making me go like, that's pretty good. That's like it's just a fun way to, I think there's a fun interview there. I think there's a fun way to get to know somebody.
There's an invitation to be silly around it.
Yeah.
There's an invitation for someone to kind of like, get creative, we build something together.
And like I do think the fan art would be dope.
Oh, it would be so dope. If anyone wants to make fan art of Eli right now,
send us a nice drawing of Eli.
Oh.
We didn't describe, I don't think he has an outfit, but if you do want to put any of the fine Build-A-Bear hats on him, I think we would all be happy about that.
Definitely a big part of Eli is the ability to shuffle and swirl, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel great about these podcasts, Jack, and I feel like we'll leave it to y'all. You tell us which one you thought, quote unquote, won. They're all winners. We're not putting anything down here, but maybe they're all losers.
I'm sure there's been one you hated, listener at home, that you were just like, boy, that was a drain.
If you have ideas that are ones that are, is that like a origin story for Ile or like a payoff? Like that was a drain.
That was a drain. Like, the drain dweller. Ile drain dweller.
And could pop up in your like shower in
to
like
check your
ways.
Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
Plug it in, plug it, unplug it, plug it back in. He's like, I was trying to go through here and what happened? It's down. Plug it, unplug it, plug it back in, unplug it.
So if you have suggestions for podcasts you'd like to hear, let us know. Write a little comment under this or put it on our Discord channel. There's a podcast Discord channel there. But hey, we're having fun. We're having fun with this. Let's keep cruising and see what we come up with, Jack.
Yeah, what I'm also seeing is we're having fun trying to discover what's an outro like.
Yeah, what are outros like? I don't listen to podcasts that much, Jack. I feel like you are armed.
We have this good final segment where we rate the podcast, and then what do we say at the end of that? We just go like, all right, well, so we did.
There we did it.
Then we said it.
I guess. Yeah, because there's the feeling, too, of you almost want the finality of like, and that was the one. Can't wait for episode 2 of that one. But we never do that. It's always
we don't do that. We could, but we're going to not. We're going to, for now, keep introducing new ones. So, hey, listen to the next one. So we'll see you next time as we introduce 2 new podcasts on this Chris and Jack's Podcast Pilot the Podcast, brought to you by Hyundai Acura. Not all of Hyundai Acura, a Hyundai Acura. A single Hyundai Acura with 3,000 miles, and there is a scratch on the left side of the bumper that could be easily dealt with, but we just want to disclose that up front.
See you next time.